What is the perfect rep range? Let's find out. What's up, it's your boy John Street Vive BB Pro Mr. Tell Like It Is. Welcome back to the channel, guys. We are here again at the Blue Star Nutraceuticals headquarters, and we're going to talk about what is the perfect rep range for you. The age-old question is, how many reps should you do? Should I be doing 1 to 5? Should I be doing 15 to 20? And that's where the confusion lies. The question you should be asking yourself is, what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to get stronger? Are you trying to build muscle? And both approaches have two different avenues and different routes. So today, guys, we're gonna get down to the nitty-gritty and learn how to exactly apply the rep ranges for your specific goals, be it strength or be it building muscle. So I just did 5 reps. They're pretty quick, they're pretty ballistic, and they're pretty powerful. So am I gonna achieve growing muscle this way, or am I gonna achieve more so strength? So we have to really understand what we're trying to achieve. There's 2 different ways we can make the muscles grow. Make it easy for you guys to understand. There's training for strength, myofibrillar hypertrophy. There's training to increase the volume of the muscle, which is sacroplasmic hypertrophy. And you're like, what does hypertrophy mean in the first place? Hypertrophy just means the expansion of cells. Muscular hypertrophy means the expansion of muscular cells. So, to break it down for you, if I'm training for strength, a myofibrillar hypertrophy is the approach that you're gonna train loads in terms of the weight you use is gonna be around 85 to 90% of your 1 rep max. So think of like power lifters, Olympic lifters, those 1 to 5 reps, very fast, very quick. And then because of the load, it requires you to rest a little longer, 3 to 5-ish minutes. And you can't train as often as you can because there's a lot of wear and tear on the body because of the loads that you're using. So if you're trying to train for strength, that 1 to 5, 1 to 6 rep range is exactly what you want to do. But sometimes people get it mixed up and they're training for building muscle, but then they're mixing up the approach they're taking when they're training almost for strength. There's a little difference between this set I did and the set I did previously. The biggest difference is the time and attention. And that's really what's gonna distinguish the difference between training for strength or training for building a muscle. For most part, most people in the gym are training for aesthetics. They're training to get bigger arms, bigger chest, bigger legs. So there's an approach to that, a scientific approach, that there are steps that need to be followed to be able to achieve that. So if you looked at my rep, the time and attention was a lot greater than training for strength. Strength, again, we're looking at loads of 85 to 90% of your 1 rep max. When it comes to training for volume, and to dive deeper into it, sacroplasmic hypertrophy is the expansion of the fluid or glycogen around the muscular cell. So when you have those longer rep ranges or longer sets, you get a massive pump. You feel swollen. That's because the time and attention is creating that effect. So when we're trying to train to build muscle, it's not necessarily the rep range, more so the time and attention. So for sacroplasmic hypertrophy, or say just training for overall building muscle, the sets need to be around 30 to 45 seconds. So when we look at a set between 30 to 45 seconds, the load you're using will help you achieve that. Because I can't mix training for strength with training for muscle size. Because if I take a 95% of my 1 rep max and try to make that last between 30 to 45 seconds, it's not gonna happen. So sometimes we're mixing up the way we're training. So to make it even more clear, if we're trying to train to change the muscle size, the sets need to be around 30 to 45, pushing 50 seconds. Your overall weighted load, the weight you use, is gonna be around like 65 to 75% of your 1 rep max. And then you're resting double the time it takes for you to finish the set. So let's just say your set takes, say, 45 seconds to 50 seconds. Double that will be 2 minutes around. So you're resting between 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. That allows you to be able to train again. The load you're using for training for creating muscle size allows you to train more frequently. You can train more often. So someone doing like a push-pull legs, you can train twice a week, the muscle group twice a week. Those sets are between 10 to 20 hard sets. You can achieve that because the load you're using allows you to. So we have to understand that if we're training to increase the muscle size, we have to use a load that allows us to sit in that overall time and retention between 30 to say 45 seconds. So if we're training, say, 6 to 12 reps, and I do a, say, 30-second set, if I divide that by, like, say, the bottom rep range of 6, well, think of how long each rep would be. That's a 4-second rep, which will look something like this. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1. And as we keep going to that 6, then we're hitting that 30 seconds. And then every rep after that, we're pushing over those 30 seconds. And then the closer it gets down to that 45, 50 seconds, the set's getting a lot harder. There's more lactic acid buildup, and the muscle is getting volumized. Now, imagine I tried to do that same approach using the loads I would use for strength. It will look kind of like this. I'm already getting tired, and I'm not even halfway there. And for most people, this wouldn't really work because we're already reaching failure at the minimum load that we need to achieve for just adding muscle. So understand, if you're trying to train for strength, there's a rep range and a load that's required. We're trying to train for increasing the volume of the muscle size. There's also a time and retention and a load to achieve that as well. Now, you can see my rep speed is a little quicker. And this is what we would call like an accessory movement. This movement I'm gonna take 10 plus reps and probably finish around the 20 rep range. Anything between, I would say, 12 to 20-ish reps. And you can see how fast I'm doing it, but I'm still under control. Now, that rep range is still in the category of sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. I am trying to achieve increasing the size of my muscle. So when it comes to rep range, it's not necessarily how many reps I'm doing, but how fast am I doing the rep. I did around 15, 20 reps. And those 15, 20 reps took around 30 to almost 45 seconds. My reps probably took a second each. 1, 2, 3, like so. Now, again, if I go back and decide to grab those strength loads, it will look like this. A little bit more than double what I was using. You can see there's no way I'm gonna be able to achieve doing anything over 10 reps, let alone 6. So when we're looking at increasing the overall volume size of the muscle, don't necessarily think about how many reps we're doing, more so than how long it takes you to do those reps. Obviously, the higher in rep range that I go, the rep time, or how long it takes me to do the rep, is going to decrease. I'm not gonna have that 3-second negative like I did previously. Now, we're still in the realms of trying to increase the muscle size, but the higher in rep range I go, obviously, the less time of rep I'm gonna use. So we're gonna be more of like a 1-to-1. So if I do 10 reps at 1 second each, 1 second up, 1 second down, it's gonna be 20 reps. If I do 15 reps, it's gonna be around 30 seconds. If I do 20 reps, it's gonna be around 40 seconds. You can see how the load is gonna determine how many reps you can actually do to achieve what you're trying to achieve. Most people watching this video are trying to change what they look like. Both ways are great, but if you don't know exactly what you're trying to achieve, we can mix those things up. And here's what happens. Sometimes we're training for strength, and then we're resting like we're trying to train for muscle size. That's not gonna work because we're not giving ourselves enough time to rest to be able to give a maximum amount of effort for the next set using loads of 85 to 90% of our movement max. The same would be if I was training just for muscle size. I can do my set and then I can rest like I was training for strength, which would make me over rest and then not get the stimulus that I need to continue to build the muscle or to volumize the muscle. So when you're looking at how many reps you should do, think about what you're trying to achieve. If I'm trying to get stronger, I'm gonna use a rep range between 1 to 5, 6 reps, and they're gonna be fast, they're gonna be ballistic. The loads are heavier, think powerlifter, think athletic, think athlete, Olympic lifter. So think about when you're using that high rep range, what you're trying to achieve. We're trying to create a lot more muscle, trying to volumize the muscle. And how would we use this in our training program? Well, let's just say you're trying to couple that with, say, fat burning. 100% using high rep range is gonna force a lot more cardiovascular endurance, muscular endurance. A great way to couple fat burning with muscle building to challenge the heart to burn even more calories. So just think about that. If you're trying to burn fat and build muscle, it's a great way to use a higher rep range. And guess what? It's a little less demanding on your joints as well too. So in the end, you should be asking yourself the question, what rep range should I do? You should be asking the question of when I should be using those rep ranges. Is one better than the other? No, they're both great and they both are needed. It's how we program them that makes the difference. So here's a good rule of thumb. Most of you guys out there, again, most of you guys watching this are trying to build muscle. So when we're talking about periodization or your programming, you wanna make sure that we're programming a good block of building a good foundation of muscle. Now again, you're going to get stronger training in that high rep range just by progressive overload in itself. Every week that you train, you get stronger. Your body adapts to the rep range and the load that you're using. And then say like around maybe 12 weeks of training for muscle size and creating that really good base of muscle, time and attention, be able to control the weight, then we throw in a strength block for around 4 to 6 weeks. And the reason why we do that is because there's a lot more trauma that's gonna happen in your body training in those higher weight loads. There's a lot more, I would say, demand on the joints when you're lifting heavy weight. But it's also needed because strength is gonna be one of those things that's gonna help you in the long run. You want to have strong bones, strong muscles to be able to do everyday activity. And when it comes down to it, we're doing this to be able to last as long as we can in our life. So when we get into that elderly age, if we're training strong right now and we keep training for strength and for size, we're gonna have a more well-rounded, stronger body. Most of the time what happens with older people when they get hurt is the fact that they can't recover when they slip or fall. They slip and fall and they break themselves. Trust me, my father's done it a few times. The things that could have happened in his past is training a lot more intelligently to be able to, avoid those things. So when it comes to what your goals are, if you're training for strength, that's perfectly fine. Train for strength. But make sure we're adding both into your programming because one isn't better than the other. Remember that. In the end, what's the perfect rep range? Well, there is no perfect rep range. What you need to ask yourself is, are you using the right rep range for your specific goals? Whether you're training for strength or training for size, the rep range is applied for both. Now within those rep ranges, we also want to include making sure that the time and attention is proper, you're consistent with your form, and you're always bringing a good level of intensity to your training to maximize whatever goal you're trying to achieve. Anyway guys, you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron, progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.